business tips to successfully start and run your business so your business doesn't run you. And more importantly, we provide personal development tools to create a better version of yourself to provide the solid foundation for your life and business to stand upon. This is the Biz Reveal, and I'm your host, Craig Sawyer. This week's episode is sponsored by Sawyer Health Solutions. Protecting what's important to you is what's important to us. Get your free health insurance quote at SawyerHealthSolutions.com. As a powerful, nationally recognized motivational speaker, Shawn Harper has combined his experience as a lineman in the NFL and as an entrepreneur to inspire countless individuals and corporations to maximize their resources, harness their potential, and manifest their vision. Shawn understands that on the journey to victory, obstacles will present themselves, but believes that a setback is just a setup for a comeback. After the show, learn more at www.shawnharper.com. This is the Biz Reveal podcast with this week's guest, Shawn Harper.
I was probably one of the most unlikeliest people to ever make it into the professional ranks. Well, not the most, but I was up there because I didn't have the actual, football mindset or the football physical set. The evidence wasn't there. Okay. And so in fact, I wasn't even honorable mention all conference in high school. There was no accolades, nothing. There was nothing around me that validated the dream, the call, and the purpose that was deep within me. And not just playing football, but almost every facet of life. Educationally, I left high school with a 1.62 cumulative GPA, 9 on my ACT, got kicked out of a couple schools for disciplinary issues. At 4 to 5, just having those learning disabilities, repeating the first grade, stuttering my entire life. And honestly, that is the actual edited version. Single parent setting, no male figure growing up. I mean, just about everything that you can throw at me was there. And it was insurmountable levels of odds and adversity. But one thing I've learned is that adversity can break you, but it also can make you a record breaker. And that's exactly what I did once I made a shift. And I'll tell you about that. When I went off to a junior college out in Mason City, Iowa. Now you can imagine, me being from the street, from the hood, right? And I'm going to these cornfields, these two cornfields, different mindset, different belief system. I'm in between these two cornfields in Mason City, Iowa. And I had an epiphany that led to a paradigm. And that was, according to the world's standards and systems, I probably will never be successful. I don't have the education. People are questioning my work ethic. I don't have a lot of what it takes to be successful, according to what the world defines, as your path to success, mainly education, association, where you're at, who you know, and things as such. I said a couple by the fact I mentioned earlier that I stuttered. I mean, I stuttered bad. It was, in fact, I still have a little bit here and there, which is fine. But I said to myself, but I can win. And the moment I said that, the moment I said the word win, I don't know whether it's because I'm an athlete or physiologically, it's something that's in me. And I found out later that yes, it is something that's in you. And once I said the word win, my body came to life. It's just like engines started turning on, like what the heck, like a daggone transformer.
An instant mindset switch.
It was more than a mindset switch. It was my entire being switched. Everything responded. So, and I would challenge the audience to close your eyes and say the word success, and then wait for about 5 seconds, and then, with your eyes still closed, say the word win and see if you could feel the difference. I mean, down to the molecular structure, the cells, your body was like win. And I found out later, as I began to do research, is that we are created to win. In fact, we are born winners. That's why it resonates so tough with us. And once I made that switch, then, things begin to play out in my favor. And that's what led to, the book, The Winning Edge. And it just, there is another way, basically. This is the fruit. This is where I'm at right now.
That's a great story, because you always hear all the time. And, sometimes when you talk about like motivational speeches or motivational books and things like that, some of the things can sound a little bit corny, right? I mean, we've all heard the motivational lines and all that.
Be your best.
Right. But it's so often it's true that,
Yeah.
If you change the way you think, you change what you see. And if you change what you see, it changes everything, So like you were in, the poverty stricken, the single parent household, I wasn't the most fit kid in the world. I wasn't the smartest kid in the world. I had a disability with my speech. If that's all you're thinking about, that's all you feel like you're worth. And so you don't really strive to do the things that you would normally do if you didn't have that mindset. And then once that changes, once you start seeing positive, things start being positive. So that's a great story to explain that whole feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all actions, or most actions, come from thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
All thoughts are nestled in your belief system. Okay. And then I try to take it one step further. Your belief system is cradled in your self-concept. A guy wrote a book years ago named Maxwell Maltz called Psycho-Cybernetics. And he talks about your self-concept, and who are you? The essence of who you are. You will always build out. You will always manifest. You will always create externally who you are internally. It's not what you want. It's who you are. That is the essence of the reflection of your environment. And I made the switch, and I continue to make the switch. I am a winner. And so since I am a winner, I do winning things, and I attract wins in my life because it's a reflection of who I am. And that's extremely important, because a lot of times we're shooting towards achievement, but the base of who we are is failure. The base of who we are is fear. The base of who we are is dumb. And I had to shed a lot of those words. He's a special kid. He's disabled. By the way, I'm not disabled. I am uniquely enabled. Everyone has strengths. Everyone has weaknesses. Okay. Superman's weakness is kryptonite, but he doesn't focus on that, right? He always focuses on his strength, and you staff your weaknesses. And so it's like this. And so you turn every negative into a positive. You go back in the past and you show gratitude for some of the most heinous things that ever happened. If you can't show gratitude, then you show forgiveness. And then you just go back and you just move forward. This is what I do. This is who I am. And you move forward like that. Okay. But the essence of who I am is that I'm a winner. And I had to come up and make that switch. And once I've made that switch, as I mentioned, or as I should have mentioned, I begin to MacGyver life, right? And I begin to see opportunities that the average person that was on a success mindset could not see. I begin to see them, and I begin to do things, weird things, stupid things, goofy things that only winners do. Like, let me give you an example. I went back to junior college 6 months early, when all the other offensive linemen throughout the country were at home, because I'm going into my second year. And, they're all at home, probably eating spaghetti at mom's house, hanging out. I'm at junior college, mom, having a good time, doing a part-time job. I'm like, you know what? If I train twice a day, 2 to 3 hours a day, I will have such a strategic advantage of over not just the lineman that I'm trying to get a starting position for at my school, but every lineman in the country, because none of them is doing this. None of them are doing what it takes to win. They're doing what it takes to be successful. But I am your competitor. You're not even in my conference. You're halfway across the country, but a Big Ten school is going to be comparing me to you, and they're going to choose me. A SEC school, a Pac-10 school. You are all my competitors, and I'm going to win. Find out what everyone else is doing, and then you do the opposite.
So you kind of have to have, I guess, for lack of a better word, you have to have a self-manufactured ego, right? I mean, you have to put yourself on this pedestal, not falsely, but just believing in yourself, right? And you put yourself on this pedestal, say, hey, look, I'm the guy that you need to look to beat, and I'm going to keep doing everything I can to make sure I keep that role. I'm going to work hard. It's not like you just throw yourself up there and have a big ego. You got to be able to back it up. Right. And I know coming from that football, that professional sports background, we've all seen the people who, are pretty loud, very vocal about how awesome they are, pretty cocky. But you know what? If they can back it up, it's not quite as annoying. It's only annoying if they do nothing but yap, but they can't back it up. You were backing it up.
Yeah. So I knew guys like that. I took kind of a slightly different approach because I'm an offensive lineman, and usually offensive linemen don't really have that mindset. I set an impossible goal, and then I made the goal my enemy. So in the game of winning, the greatest competitor is not the people around you. The greatest competitor is yourself. And you have to push yourself into the 212. And what I mean by the 212 is that water is water at 211 degrees. At 212 degrees, water boils, and boiling water has changed the world. So I have to push myself into the 212. And so I have to fight against that urge and that desire to be normal, that urge and that desire to quit, that urge and that desire to just fit in, to be a camper instead of a climber. I am going to war with myself, and I am going to win. And so I set the goal that I'm going to the NFL, or I'm going to play Division I college. Now, that is my enemy because I'm going to conquer it. I'm going to achieve it. Everyone else get out the way. Now, true, I was competing against the other offensive linemen in the country to get a scholarship, but the ultimate competitor was me.
Yeah. If you beat yourself, I mean, that's just raising the bar there. I've always said that, I'm in sales, and in sales, everything's about numbers, right? And about your competition around you, and everybody's competing to be the best person, the top salesman of the year, or whatever the case is. It's also disheartening in a lot of ways, right? It can be demotivating as well, because if you're not in that top 10 and maybe you're in the top 50, you kind of feel like, God, those guys that are up in the top 10, they're always there. I'm never going to get there. So it kind of feels self-defeating. But if you're competing against yourself and you're always improving on what you did last week, last month, last year, and you're getting better, to me, that's what success is. That's improvement. Heck
yeah. I mean, actually, that is what it's all about. Very, 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 very few athletes have that mindset. The best have that mindset. It's like what I call it the inside game. And I remember when I was playing football, and we had just beaten a team by like 28 points, and everyone was cheering except for one player. He was a receiver. And I'm like, what's going on with you, man? We won, man. He's like, I know man, you had a great game. He's like, no, man, I got it. You know what? I got to do better. We're all going out. No, I'm not going out. I'm about to go lift some weights. I'm about to go study. It was like, external accolades did not determine his internal wins. I need to write that down.
I got that for you, man.
Yeah. And I'm just like, whoa, because it's the inside game. And then at the same time, what's so liberating about that is that you could do your best, push yourself to the limits. And if somebody's better, then you know what? They're just better. But I left it all out. I left it all on the field. I left it all out there.
What do you feel during that career in the NFL?
Excuse me?
During your career in the NFL, what do you feel was your biggest success story? Your biggest moment, your biggest game, your biggest season, whatever the case is?
Getting to the league.
Just getting there.
Man, do you know how competitive it is?
Yeah.
To get to the end, just to even get your name called on draft day. You know how hard that is? There's some of the best. These guys have been playing sports since the first grade. When these guys were like playing with their umbilical cords. Okay, these guys are genetically engineered. Okay? And you know what? These scouting services, man, they're tracking you from Pop Warner. You got like anyone who travels. Okay, anyone who travels for a living, they dread the weekends. Why? Because they got all these travel teams now, and these parents are all into it, and they got national rankings and camps. You know, these guys are like, and they're putting thousands of dollars into these kids, and to be drafted amongst that is huge. And you know what? It's even worse for basketball, because you got like everyone in the world plays basketball. So you got these people like all over the world, like, I will be a great athlete. You know, and it's like, this dude is like coming in 7'1". He's been training, being paid by their government to be, in the Olympics, and he's going to the NBA after the Olympics.
How did that feel when you heard your name through that microphone? Take me through that next 30 seconds.
Okay. So I'm sitting here, right? And I'm at the college dorm room. I have my best friend with me, and we're just sitting there, and we're watching the people get called, and right, what happens is that if you're not invited to New York, well, even if you are invited to New York, right before they draft you, they'll call you. Give me the number.
When you are self-employed, whether as an independent contractor or a business owner, when it comes to health insurance, you're on your own. Health insurance for the self-employed individual is imperative. When you get sick or injured, you aren't working and you don't get sick days. You may end up facing staggering medical expenses and loss of income. Health risks and uncertainties are a part of life. You can't always plan when you get sick, but you can be prepared for the financial aspect. The best way to be prepared against uncertain health risks is with the right health insurance plan. Call Sawyer Health Solutions today for your free consultation and quote. Allow us to put a plan together that makes sense for your situation. Call 239-677-9877 or go to our website at sawyerhealthsolutions.com. Protecting what's important to you is what's important to us.
And they're like, boom, hey, how you doing? This is such and such from the Rams. We want to take you. I'm like, let's go. Click, turn on the TV, and 87 pick, bam. And you know what I did? I said a prayer, and me and my friend, I cut the phone off, and we just drove to Red Lobster, and we had a great time. But I tell you what, when I landed in Orange County, California, oh my God. Because I've never been to California. And I was just like, what in the world? But in the room, in the meeting with guys that you watched football, or people that you watched playing football. Like I'm looking at Jackie Slater, I'm looking at Tom Newberry. I'm looking at Kevin Green. I'm like, whoa. And you're like right next to the greatness, and you can feel the energy. You can feel the competitive. You can feel the testosterone. It's like, whoo, you better level up, baby. It's game time. And an amazing experience.
Did that, because I have a lot of episodes on this show where we talk about imposter syndrome. Did you have that come about as well, though? Because obviously there's the excitement of being surrounded with the best in the world, and now you're part of that fraternity. But is there also a feeling of like, man, do I belong here? Did you ever feel that? Or was it like, man, it's game time, I'm on 100%?
Really honest, it wasn't, do I belong here? Is how do I stay here?
And it's a very legitimate conversation to have with yourself.
How do I, because the thing about the NFL, right, is that they have an entire department of scouts. And if you ever want to find a behavioral psychologist or psychiatrist, go get a seasoned NFL scout, because he or she can pick you apart by the way you walk. They'll tell you what you had for breakfast, because it's their job to find the creme de la creme, the best of the best. Yeah. And so every week when all the players are off, they're flying in other players to work out at your position. And God forbid if you had a bad game, they are working out players who got cut from other teams. They're flying them in to work them out. And you know what? If they perform well, you'll come back Wednesday and there's a note. Coach wants to see you with the dreaded phrase, bring your playbook.
You knew
it's that competitive. Yeah.
You knew it was that was going to the principal's office at that point, huh?
You were getting expelled. It was over. Mm-hmm. you're getting cut. It's done for that team. Yeah.
So that brings me to my next question here then. When it comes to the failure, because obviously sports is all about wins and losses, right? I mean, it's kind of the whole thing. It's the competitive wins versus losses. Obviously, you want to have a lot more in that win column than you do in the loss column, but it's inevitable that you're going to have some numbers in that loss column. And like you mentioned, you might even come away with a win, but feel personally like you lost because you just didn't have the game that you wanted to have, even though, you won by 28 points. Go into some of those failures. Like, was there a game that sticks out in your mind? Won or lost the game is irrelevant, but how you feel you came out of that game. Tell us about one of those down moments that you had.
I had a lot of injuries, okay, in my NFL career. So it's not a whole heck of a lot of playing experience there. But I remember a time that we lost a game, and it was who was that? Was it Oakland? It was Oakland. It was Oakland. And man, it was like, just could not get it. Oakland is a different place, man. It's dark. I mean, it's just like, it's Oakland different, bro. It's like, we just couldn't get movement on the line of scrimmage. I think they had a big guy named Chester McLaughlin was in the middle, man. He was just hard, and we could not, and he had Nolan Harrison out there. I mean, we could not get no penetration. We couldn't get no movement. It was very disheartening because they put the game on the line shoulders. They put it on our shoulders, and we could not produce. I did not like that. That was a very disheartening moment.
How'd you get past it?
Oh, it's simple. You see, one of the marks of a great professional athlete, a great business person, is you have to have a short memory. You have to have a short memory. I mean, think about when you see Jerry Rice catch a touchdown. I'm dating myself, right? So you
and me both, man. You and me both.
You have a great receiver who catches that pass. There's a corner. There's a defensive back that got burnt on that play. Okay. How do you shake that off for the next play? Because the coordinator in the booth is like, we're coming right back at him again. 2 plays later, we're going to keep testing him until he can stop this route. And it's like, you have to shake that off. You have to be able to shake off adversity, and you have to be able to take a defeat, a setback, and learn and say, okay, why did I lose in this? Let me give you an example. Do you know that the average millionaire has filed for bankruptcy 3.2 times, according to Google? Those were setbacks. What did I learn? What did I learn? Cash flow. What did I learn? Good counsel. What did I learn? What did I learn? What did I learn? Balance sheet, numbers. What did I learn? And then, boom. Life gives the test and teaches the lesson.
And I like that order, because you're right. You learn afterwards. And one of the biggest things about failures, and I taught my kids this when they were young too, is if you don't fail, then you're not trying, right? I mean, right. If you never fail, then you're not trying anything. I don't know anybody that's succeeded at everything they've done the first time. I mean, right. I don't think that's even possible. But as long as you're learning from the failure, the whole point is to learn from it and just don't do the same thing again, right? Because then right. That's just stupidity at that right. point. If you make the same mistake over and over and over again, because like you said, the guys up there in the booth, their whole job is to find the weakness and exploit it, right? Over and over and over again. So if you know that you're the weakness, you better figure something else out.
Understanding and knowing your competition was probably one of the greatest blessings that I took or was able to extract from professional football and to apply it into the corporate arena. It is such a blessing because a lot of business owners, a lot of emerging business owners, I don't like to use the word small business. I try to use the word emerging business because it shows motion, right? It's that they don't study their competition. They don't study the environment. And so they're out there grinding. Well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to have my bit. But man, in the NFL, we spent more time studying our opponent than in practice. And then we have an entire scouting department, like those daggone scouts again, and they're down in the basement all night, all day, studying each and every player. What's the weakness? This person got injured. This person has a weak ankle. This the whole game,
Right.
just to get the edge. That's how you get the edge.
And that's not done enough. I'm glad you brought that up because, again, I'm in sales, and everybody that, I don't want to say everybody, a lot of people in the sales industry, no matter what product you're selling, what service you're selling, if you're selling yourself, your personality as, something else, they always focus on what they are selling. Look what we have. Sparkle, 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 right?
Right.
But nobody cares what you have. They want to know what you have that other people don't, because, whatever you're doing, there's likely somebody else that's doing something that's the same or very, very similar to it. What
Right.
sets you apart from them? Why should they buy from you? Why should they work with you compared to the guy that's next to you, the gal that's next to you, somebody across from you? What makes you different? And you only know that by studying the competition.
Right. Right. You are 100% correct. You know what they are. You know what they're not. You know their strengths are and what their weaknesses are. You know how much market share that they have. You know what new products and what's coming down. Sometimes this is not the best example, but that I'm always looking at what other security companies, because I own a security company. I'm always looking at what other security companies, what are they paying their officers?
Mm-hmm.
Because then I can take that, extract that information, and I can kind of tell you how much they're bidding out. Okay. And then I know how much I have to pay my officers to be competitive. Just looking on, sites like Glassdoor or there's a number of sites that just give you information when people come in for interviews and they want to talk about their old company. I'm like, yeah, what else? Oh, for real? And just a bunch of extra. To them, it's abstract information, but from an owner's perspective, I could put the pieces together. Like a guy came in the other day, like, I got laid off of 2 different jobs, in the last, 2 years. And, I'm like, oh, to me, that says you're not valuable enough for them to keep, because I'm a boss. And if you're a beast, I will find a way to keep you. Okay. You are not an overachiever because you didn't get his or her attention. Yeah, well, we'll call you, stuff like that.
Sure.
So I'm always extracting information, and then putting, like a jigsaw puzzle, putting the pieces together to be competitive.
Now, you work with a lot of corporations. You do some, speaking and consulting, right, with some major corporations.
Yes.
Is there a constant? And maybe we've already mentioned it, but if we haven't already mentioned it, is there a constant with some of those companies you've worked with that is a missing element?
Yeah. Effective communication and connection. And, as you mentioned earlier, everyone's talking about their product or this, and this is what they bring to the table. We have a need to communicate. We have an inherent need to connect. We need to connect. We need to have intimacy. We are created for that. Okay. A lot of people, especially in sales, they don't connect with the clients. A lot of bosses, they don't connect with their employers or their actual employees. A lot of C-suite, they don't connect with their mid-level management. The whole show, Undercover Boss, you know what that's all about? It's about connecting. It's like you have lost connection. So you have to fight for that. You got to fight for that connection because there's so much that's pulling you to, other areas and other arenas. And, I've seen it with owners of NFL teams who are making the most craziest decisions. Like, wow, you're not looking, at it from that perspective. And sure, being a boss, you got to look at it, ultimately from your perspective, but you have to have the ability to take off your hat and look at it from the fans' perspective, look at it from the players' perspective, look at it from the coach's perspective, look at it then ultimately your perspective, and take it all into account. Because if you're always winning and everyone else is losing, eventually you're going to lose. So you have to create win-wins.
And even worse, if you don't even notice that other people are losing.
Yeah.
And, there's there does tend to be in a lot of, especially the large corporations, that disconnect between this, the C suites or the management level and, the entry level, right? Because the farther up you go in a company, the farther up that ladder you climb, obviously your responsibilities change. And
Yes.
so now sometimes, especially as you get higher, it's more administrative than it is the actual grunt work. And
Yes.
so sometimes you lose touch with the grunt work that got you to where you are. And
Yes.
there's a disconnect. And frankly, the entry level people, they're people you want to talk to, man. Those are the people that are in the grind. They're in the middle of it. They're the ones that usually have the most contact with the customers. And you just left them alone.
Yeah. And they can also always, if you ask the right questions, they can tell you what's coming 2 or 3 years down the line.
If you open that line of communication up and ask you want to hear the answers, you can ask the questions, but if you're not making them feel like their answers are going to be listened to, then it's not going to help. Yeah.
Right. It's not.
So in your book, because you have a book that's called The Winning Edge, 8 Principles That Will Bring Out the Winner in You.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about what those 8 principles are and how you came up with them.
Well, you know what? As I mentioned, I talked about me not being able to become successful, but I can win. And so what I've learned to do, and I actually learned this from my mom, God bless her, like a hero. My mom showed me another way. And so she started adapting universal laws because we were impoverished, but my mom would give $20 every week or every month to feed the kids in Africa. And because of that, we were always blessed because she always gave. Some of the most wealthiest people are some of the biggest givers. And so I started asking myself, what other universal laws are out there? And so basically this book talks about some of the principles, laws, and concepts that you can use on top of what you're already doing to create success. I'm not going to share all of them, but one I will share, one of my favorites, is the law of capacity. And basically, you can only grow to the proportion of your environment. So if you take a shark, a little baby shark, and you put them in a 50-gallon tank, it's going to grow about this big. You take that same shark and you drop it in the ocean, it's going to get 2 or 3 times its size because there's the capacity for it. You'll see this a lot with professional athletes and entertainers, especially entertainers where they're like, you know what, I'm too big for this group. I have to go out on my own. And they would leave the group and they just explode. It wasn't that they didn't like the people. It's like, you know what, I've outgrown you. Capacity. I need to grow. And you guys are at this level and I'm at this level. You know what else? In business, people that you work with or people who work for you, there comes a point where, you know what, I'm trying to take you to the next level, but all you want to do is consciously and subconsciously view the company and view me at this particular level. I'm not there anymore. We got to go to the next level. And sometimes the hard thing to do is you got to let them go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've always said that you are your environment,
Yes.
And if you're the best person in your group, the most successful, whatever your rating system is, if you're the top one in your group, you're in the wrong group. You should always surround yourself with who you aspire to be, not who you currently are. Right. I mean,
Yes.
kind of like they always say that, you want to go into your job, trying to do the next position, not the current position you're in. Obviously you got to do the stuff for your current position, but you're striving for that next one. So start acting like it, start dressing like it, start putting in the work ethic for it. And it's the same thing goes with your environment. Like you said, if your environment's too small or too wrong, it's time for a new environment.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah. So I like that. And I know the other 7 are going to be in there. So you buy the book.
Yes.
Right. Shawn, thank you so much. That's our time for today, man. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to chat with us. It's actually some pretty good points that you got good quotes, man. So I wrote a couple of those down. We got to go back to that one that you said that you wanted to write down, and I'll rewind this thing, make sure I get that, and I'll send it to you.
Thank you, because I forgot what that was.
It was external accolades do not determine inside something. And I put ... because I couldn't remember.
Yeah. So, man, that is so huge, because one of the top determiners of a successful business or a winner is having an internal gyroscope. We are always taught to have an external gyroscope to get approval from others, to have an internal gyroscope that turns. And this is where you derive your wins from. The internal gyroscope that's always pumping your own self up, always encouraging yourself, because the moment it becomes external, the external now has the power. And so many people have failed and not recovered because they were afraid of the opinions of people versus their drive to win.
Agreed. And it draws more people to you. Positivity attracts positivity.
Yes.
Tell everybody how they can get in touch with you, how they can get that book.
Oh, yeah. Easy. So you can go to Shawn Harper 154 at Instagram. I gotta get my gram out there first, but you can go to ShawnHarper.org. That's my website. And I believe that there's a link on there that will actually give you a free copy of the book. So don't even worry about it.
Cool.
Give you a free copy of the digital, a copy of the book. I'm taking that link down soon. Because my people are like, hey, you're giving away too much free content, but I love it because it doesn't come to you if it can't get through you, right? So giving away a lot of free content, it's for as the book is concerned. So just go to ShawnHarper.org. You can click the link and get a free copy of the book. Enjoy it. Leave a comment. God bless you.
Awesome, man. Shawn, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. I appreciate you chatting with us, man, and I love talking to you. So don't be a stranger, and we'll do this again soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us this week. Go to our website at thebizreveal.com to catch all of our past episodes. We're available on all podcast apps, or you can watch any of our episodes on the Biz Reveal YouTube channel. I'm Craig Sawyer, and this is the Biz Reveal. Till next time.